Final piece tonight is about awakening. And there are two, maybe three, well, there are three types of awakening. And the first hurdle of awakening has happened to all that listen to this show, otherwise you wouldn't be here. The first awakening is accepting the narratives we've been told on many subjects that pervades through our lives, and lifestyles were all based on lies, half-truths and spell magic. The illiterate, as I've said previously, the illiterate for this century will not be those who can't read and write. It will be those who cannot unlearn the lies. Now, the first awakening can be, and is in many cases, the most painful. When you learn schools, doctors, hospitals, judges, police, governments are all operating against us, not for us, is a harsh and sobering reality, and is garnered over time as to the sheer depth of it. And that type of awakening for many of us is still ongoing. But you'll only learn a fraction of what is and has gone on this planet in this lifetime. So don't be too hard on yourselves for not knowing everything, or feel stupid for missing the obvious, the signs, the symbols and the words. They were all there to see, and yet many couldn't, and many still don't. How and why is that? Programming. The pure and simple answer. Others will call it indoctrination. We are programmed from childhood to believe in a narrow field of knowledge and consciousness. Even the word knowledge. Ledge is a narrow platform. So you know a narrow platform, a narrow ledge. No ledge. It's all in the words. But for many of you, going back 10 years ago, the idea that vaccines are BS, some famous people are different sexes than they portray, some people are not what you thought due to doubles or clones, governments would poison us with chemtrails, fluoride, GMOs, farmers, psychedelic drugs, everyone is spying on us, false flags, etc. all seem a world away from your knowledge base now. And it's been some journey of expanding your mind and thinking, and yet you've achieved it. And yet so few of you recognise your own development on that level. Instead of admiring how far you've come, too many are focused on what they don't know. Glass half full or half empty. It is beyond extraordinary what we've all achieved in just a decade. And many of you are in a stage now, what we would call the later stages of your life. Decades and decades of programming wiped out in under a decade from you. And yet do you ever stop and look in the mirror and say, wow, what an achievement I have done with my life. People have no idea how difficult unlearning the lies is, unhooking from the programs. I was fortunate or destined that I never bought into the mind control programs, even from a young age. But too many did. But I've still been on a journey of discovery of how deep the lies go. And will that rabbit hole ever end? The answer is no. There are too many of them. It's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer that goes way deeper and further than you can all imagine. Now, THI, from my point of view, has given you a glimpse closer to the bigger picture than many of the other shows. Some of my information relayed is not new. As I said, we all have learned from each other. But the connecting of the dots, which is the key to begin to understanding what is and has gone on here, is packaged in a way all levels of learning can feel they can get some sort of grip on what they're learning. And that is the essence of THI, tying things together. As the storybook style must listen to shows proves. It's the only way disclosure can be delivered. And those shows are spanning 4 to 5 years now. And yet there's still way more to learn and understand. Awakening 2 is recognising you are not just a meat suit. That you all are a spirit and a soul. This in and of itself can be a difficult concept to absorb, and more so for the religious fraternity. Because everything about that program is about being outside of yourself, when the focus needs to be what's on the inside. Now, during this awakening, you learn dream time is not about being asleep, but actually another part of you is awake. Only the suit sleeps. During this phase, depending on where your soul development has reached, you may face the demons, all kinds of nasties chasing you, battles ensuing, traps set like an ancient Greek maze that will trigger some. People and things attacking you or using you as a sex object, suggestive programming inserted into your mind, and also the potential for vessel infestation are all part of the learning curve of being in the real hologram and the trap set called the lower astral, the real place of hell. Sadly, much of humanity is stuck in the lower astral due to interference and our propensity for lower vibrational thinking and acting patterns. Everyone themselves can correct this with a little bit of effort. The shadow and inner work is key to that. Now, during this awakening, you may also experience higher astral, where the bliss, harmony, and indescribable feelings of love abound. That's the higher astral. That is where heaven resides. Except that's a trap also. It's the garden gate to the real higher developmental stage known as the mental planes. Should you escape that realm, then another awakening occurs, a real awakening of some magnitude. As some of your so-called junk DNA starts to switch on, no longer are battles a part of your every night scene during your dream time. Suddenly you realise your own powers, and you are only limited by your own imagination. At these levels, the interference with you can reduce drastically, as your own abilities can now counteract their dark magic, narrow viewing and hearing fields, and your senses beyond 5 get ramped up exponentially, depending on your input into it. It's not a magic sponge. Like shadow and inner work, it requires you to work on it. During this phase, you can experience many things. You can accomplish many things. From moving solar systems to avoid rock wars, rescuing beings off other worlds, transporting yourself to new worlds, in this universe and also beyond. Meeting or seeing creatures you never thought possible, involved in missions to fix things both here and outside of here, attend meetings of galactic and beyond situations, fly above the earth to see it in its full splendour. You may also be dealing with rogue elements who have played games here for a long time. You may even find out and visit your original home world, and much more. But the key is you find your own power and importance in the scheme of things. Where you went wrong in past lives and this, and how much you have brought on yourselves here in this lifetime. How hard will you go to correct the future, not the past? But these abilities have to be used in balance, and the ultimate in personal responsibility, as some of them will be retained within the vessel also. Not just the spirit. More 3D earth-based abilities will manifest, healing of the self and others, either by being with them or from an infinite distance. Weather manipulation, bilocation, remote viewing are just some of the examples. Too often in the past and the present, people have turned themselves into a modern version of a god. I'm all powerful, blah blah. A true warrior never brags what he or she can do. Just acts out quietly to effect the desired changes required at a given time. Sometimes when on this level of activity, some expect they will and should be active each night. That is not the case either. You may go months with no recall of activity and then bang lots of it. It's called horses for courses. You will dip in when it's time only. The point is, we are all a god if we work on ourselves. We're part of Source and part of all creation. God just means higher evolved being. That's all. Not the Lord Anu or the Almighty, and we all bow down to them. No. Never put anyone or anything above your own heart. That is the message of Source. All-encompassing and developing. Not all bow down to Draco reptilian kings, as proposed in many of the scriptures they wrote, not we wrote. So, if you gain your abilities and you're thinking, I'm a god or the Neo, you are going badly astray. That is the unbalanced ego thinking, and that ultimately leads to your own downfall. You will lose your abilities. The majority of people on this planet, I mentioned Neo, the majority of people on this planet are Smiths. Whether people like that analysis or not. Many are not deliberately being Smiths, but just going along with the plan. Inaction makes you complicit. The plan was we all fail though. Operate in service to self and in a competitive dog-eat-dog world, cheating, stealing, hiding behind masks is all being a Smith. And then you have the other ones operating in unbalanced ego thinking that they are the Neo, the only one, the chosen one. That Neo is a mask hiding a Smith. The key is to teach millions, if not billions, to be Neos, not Neo, where we all strive for the greater good, all willing to put ourselves and our lives on the line for the greater good, not just the one. That is the real hidden message within the Matrix movie. It's not about striving to be the one and the hero. It is about potentially sacrificing yourself for the benefit of the all. This level of awakening can be all so magic, but it comes with a warning. Defend, not attack. You can't just go round wiping out Draco, Mantids or Greys. That is going down to their level, and it will cost you your abilities. Using your power over others for your own ends, again, will cost you your abilities. Why? Because you are misusing it for the self. When it's all about service by, for, and to others at that level. Remember, the higher you go up the soul evolution, the nearer you get to being the God. The nearer you get to source. It comes with higher responsibility. And to teach the others to gain a higher evolutionary path themselves. Not elevate yourself above and at the expense of others and become the new God. It's not what it's about. So it requires the highest form of discipline. Reactionary moves is not conducive to higher evolution. Thinking in the now and the future is, for the benefit for as many of the all as possible. To try and save as many of the all as possible. To try and progress for many of the all as possible. Me, myself and I have to be cast aside for we and us. That is the challenge every being faces, human or not. A tough school in many ways, but the benefits are fulfilling. Should you take on the task to improve and develop yourself. Only you can do that. Nobody else can fix it for you. There is no magic pill, cheat or frequency wave that will magically develop your own soul development. That can only be done by you. Only you can save you. Perhaps now makes much more sense. I'm sincerely hoping anyway. All of those three awakenings have the effect of you losing interest in certain pastimes. Changes of lifestyle, change of scenery is generally required. One that is more conducive to the new you. Because you're not the same person. External you are, internal no chance. Whole new ball game. People complain mainly of one thing going through this path or on this path, that they have lost people. Yes, you've lost people because they're not on the same frequency anymore. And yet you should consider this. Yes, you lost people, but you gained yourself. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye for now.